Hello, good morning, made it. It's 11 o'clock or 1 minute past, but made it for the 11 o'clock slot. It's already been a hectic morning, first day of the holidays, and we've managed to fit in the dentist and quite a few meltdowns over emotional children. Not sure how it is in your house, but yeah, I think they're very ready for these summer holidays. Even if I'm not, if I'm honest, I'm not ready. I haven't planned anything. I am, gonna wing it. But anyway, we have reinforcements. The in-laws are here, so that's why I can join you this morning for our episode 3 of the Wild Walk of Fame. So I might just crack on today and reveal who it is that is going to be in our Wild Walk of Fame. So if I said to you they're the tallest mammal on earth, and that their heads can't reach the ground without them kind of really splaying their legs out, you could probably guess that it is going to be the giraffe. So yes, so this week, week 3, we are going for the beautiful and graceful giraffe. Let's pop that to one side and we can crack on with some lovely giraffe facts. So we have a lovely black and white giraffe here in our Spectacular Animals of Africa book. Now, giraffes are obviously found in the savannas of Africa. They roam the grasslands and the forests and eat lots of leaves off the trees. They are herbivores, so they're just plant-based, and they are the tallest mammal on earth. So there's nothing that's taller than a giraffe, and they can grow up to 5.5 meters tall, which is the equivalent of about 3 adult humans if they were stood on each other's heads. So that's, pretty huge. You're not going to get anything any bigger than a giraffe. And their height's really beneficial to them. It helps them spot predators way off in the distance, such as lions or hyenas, or things that are going to especially attack their calves if they have babies with them. And other animals often congregate around giraffes because giraffes are almost like an early warning system, because they've got great eyesight and they can see for maybe up to a kilometre. You'll find other animals, zebra and wildebeest and things like that, they'll graze in the vicinity of giraffes because giraffes will spot those predators coming first. And once the giraffes are off, everyone else follows. So giraffes kind of like the early warning system of the savannas. Now, what else do we know about giraffes? Giraffes are actually really fast runners. Like, check this out. They can get up to speeds of 35 miles an hour, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. But they're more sprinters than anything. So that's over quite a short distance, but it's very, very fast. So if they need to get out of the way of a predator, they can do. Pretty sharpish. But they can also kind of gallop at around 10 miles an hour for a considerable amount of time. So yeah, they're pretty athletic for such a tall, gangly animal. And their spots are unique, just like a zebra's stripes are unique. So every single giraffe will have a different pattern of spots on their fur, hair, hairy giraffes. And they're all different, and it's a little bit like a fingerprint. So they're all unique to every single individual giraffe, even though collectively they all look quite similar. And they sleep standing up, and they don't need a lot of sleep. So they kind of generally have quick naps throughout the day, and in a 24-hour period, they might only sleep for a collective amount of time of, say, half an hour. So they might sleep for, say, 5 minutes at a time, or they might sleep for a little bit longer. But yeah, they're not big sleepers, which is why they can kind of have these power naps just stood up, which would be very nice, wouldn't it? Imagine just tucking yourself in the corner of the kitchen and being able to just have a really refreshing 5-minute power nap stood up and then being able to crack on again. So yeah, quite jealous of that one. Giraffes have quite a super skill. And this is one of my favourite facts, because I think everyone assumes that they must have a lot more bones than humans do. But actually, in a giraffe's neck, they have exactly the same number of bones as we do. They're just much, much bigger. So their vertebrae are much, much bigger. And what's different about them is that their muscles on their arteries and veins are much thicker and much stronger. Because their heads can't touch the ground, let's see if I can demonstrate, it's got quite bendy legs. they have to splay their legs right out in order to get their head to touch the ground. But if you imagine that you're going all the way from up there, all the way to down there to have a drink, all the blood's going to sort of rush to your head. So you need really, really powerful muscles in order to keep the blood pumping to the brain and the heart. So that's the difference between us and giraffes, really, is that their bones are there's the same number of bones, but they're much, much bigger. But the veins and the arteries work a lot harder in order to pump that blood and stop the giraffe from just passing out flat on the floor. And as I said, they can't really reach the ground. If they were just bent straight forward, they couldn't reach the ground. So that's why you'll see probably photographs of giraffes with their front legs like really far out, sideways, trying to get their head down to the ground to have a drink. Luckily, they don't really need to drink all that much. Every couple of days, they have a few gulps of water. They get most of their moisture from leaves, a bit like the koala that we spoke about last week. So yeah, they're getting all that moisture from the plants that they eat. So they only really need to sort of dip their head down every couple of days, which is probably good considering their size and the effort that it must take. Now, they have a blue tongue. I don't know if you've ever seen a giraffe's tongue, but yeah, they are sort of a purplish blue colour, and they're really long. They're like 40 to 50 centimetres long. So great tool for stripping the leaves off all of those tall trees in the savannas. And sometimes like this fact comes about that they have one of the biggest hearts of all mammals, but actually it's not in comparison to their size. It's very similar to other large mammals just like them. But as I said, like with the arteries and ventricles, the heart has much thicker muscles around it to keep the blood flowing around the animal, because it is such a big animal. It's such a tall animal, so the distance between the heart and the brain is quite long, it's quite far. So the heart has to work really, really hard. So it's not that the heart's bigger, but it's the heart's really powerful. Those muscles that are pumping the blood are really, really powerful. And as I said, they only eat plants, and their long necks are perfect for reaching up into the trees. They love acacia trees, especially. That makes up most of their diet. And they can eat a whopping 45 kilograms of leaves and branches every single day. So they basically spend most of their life just eating, which, I can relate to as well. I'd quite like to spend most of my life eating. And these little horns on their heads are called, let's see if I can pronounce this right, ossicones. So I think that's correct, ossicones. And they're quite floppy at birth, and they might even be flat. So this little model of the giraffe hasn't even got any, but all giraffes, male and female, have these ossicones. And they fuse together as they grow through adolescence to form really strong horns. And yeah, as I say, both males and females have the horns, and they will use them for defending themselves. Giraffes can get quite fighty, especially the males, if they're fighting over territory. There was a fantastic episode of, I think it must have been Planet Earth, one of the David Attenboroughs anyway, so Planet Earth, of giraffes. They were filmed fighting, and it is incredible, the power. And they basically use their heads, like they're really floppy, but they kind of use their heads as like a battering ram. And so these horns, which are very hard once they're fused, are become a weapon basically for fighting especially amongst the males, but the females would also use them to defend against, if they've got young with them, they will be really, really protective. And a group of giraffes, like we've got here, we've got our little group of giraffes, they are called a tower, which I love because it's very descriptive of like the physique of a giraffe. They're a bit like a tower. So a group of giraffes is called a tower. I think they normally hang around in groups of like around 20 or so. They're really sociable animals. They like to be in a group. They like to be together, and they like to collectively look after each other. And baby giraffes are called calves. Male giraffes are called bulls, and female giraffes are called cows. So kind of like domestic cows, basically. And they can live for around 25 years in the wild, but they can live a lot longer in captivity, up to 40 or 50 years old. And their closest relative to the giraffe in terms of sort of genetics and how they figure out the species and how they're connected, is actually the okapi. Now, if you don't know what an okapi is, it kind of looks like a cross between a zebra and a giraffe and maybe a little bit of tapir thrown in there too. So it's got quite long legs like the giraffe, and it has stripes like a zebra, and it has a longish neck, but then the head's a bit more kind of horse-like, or a bit more tapir-like. So yeah, it's this wonderful kind of mix of animals, but it's actually the closest relative to the giraffe. But they're really cool, but they live in the rainforest, so they're a tropical animal rather than a dry savanna-based animal. And my final fact of the day is that the name giraffe comes from an Arabic word, which I'm not going to offend anyone by trying to pronounce, but it's an Arabic word that means fast walker. So yeah, so these big long legs, fast walker, that's how they got their names. And maybe they'd never seen a giraffe run up to 35 miles an hour, but they'd seen them walk. So yeah, that's where their name comes from. So yeah, so that's all my brilliant giraffe facts for today. I love giraffes. I think they're really beautiful. They are graceful. They're really unique. Like, there is nothing on earth that looks quite like a giraffe. And I think that they probably have a special place in many, many people's hearts. And they're full of character. We've seen them in the Ngorongoro crater in Tanzania. And yeah, they were just fabulous to watch. They were just, so full of character, gentle giants of the savannah. And yeah, if you can pick up that David Attenborough episode, I'm pretty sure it was one of the series of Planet Earth. There've been so many, they all kind of blend into one. But yeah, and you can see the giraffes having a good old scrap. It really puts it into perspective, the power and the size of these amazing mammals. And yeah, if you want to share a bit of giraffe love at home, I think you probably all know this one. Our copy's been well loved, as you can see. It's looking a bit worse for wear, but we have Gerald, Giraffes Can't Dance. And this is a lovely, lovely story about how Gerald the giraffe learns to let go of all of his inhibitions and have a good old dance. And at the end of the story, all the animals want to know how Gerald does it and how he dances with such kind of unabashed kind of joy. So yeah, so we really love that one in our house. That's Gerald the giraffe. And I couldn't think of any other giraffe books, or we don't have any other giraffe books. So if you know any great giraffe stories where giraffes are the central character, I would really love to know, because I'd love to get some more. But the only other one that I could find in our house for today was Dear Zoo, which is obviously an old classic. And we have Dear Zoo, they sent me a giraffe, but he was too tall, so I sent him back. So yeah, so they're my two little giraffe recommendations if you want to share the giraffe love with your little ones at home. And of course, in our very own black and white book, we have Giraffe, along with lots of the giraffe's friends from the African savannah. So available on the website. I think there's a few, maybe only one or two sets of the flashcards that go with this. So you have to be quick if you want those, but we've got lots of the books. So yeah, so you can spread some giraffe love at home and get your little ones learning all about giraffes. Maybe they can pretend to be giraffes. They can get stretching up tall. It's good to get a bit of exercise in, see how tall they can stretch up and how low they can bend down. Maybe they can practice like being a giraffe with their legs. Get them to try some more vegetables like a giraffe. So yeah, maybe today can be Giraffe Day. First day of the holidays, we can unofficially call Giraffe Day. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned a little bit of something about giraffes. The podcast episode of the Wild Walk of Fame will be up very, very shortly once I've recorded it. But yeah, hopefully later today, so you can catch up on all of the other Wild Walks of Fame. So far we've done sharks and koala, and today is the giraffe. So yeah, have a listen. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Amazon Podcasts and Audible. So lots of places that you can listen to it, and you can obviously watch this back as many times as you want. But yeah, that's our Wild Walk of Fame Wednesday, and the giraffe is our third entry. Thank you for joining me, and have a brilliant rest of the day. Bye.